you're previewing a new unreleased feature, which is I can delegate my email to Jonathan, which is really something I would pay for. I think many benchmarks are total bullshit, but I think some benchmarks are totally not bullshit. Like most B2B tools, they're so focused on being functional that they lack soul, they lack joy. At the end of the day, like the reason why I like building companies in the first place, it's sort of pretty selfish in its nature. Like I just want to build something that I can use. I'm just glad we finished this interview before the ice melted.
Hey, Kayvon.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming over. So, you know the concept of the show. It's the cold email hotline. We'll start with a quick icebreaker based on email. Are you good or bad at email?
I go through waves. There are phases where I'm pretty good at email, and then there are phases like right now where I feel like I'm absolutely not on top of it. So it seesaws, I would say.
Is that when life takes over? Just too much stuff going on?
Part of it is life, and part of it is just, what's happening at work. Like there can be periods where you're just attending to an influx of sort of work-related stuff, and you completely lose sight of like important personal emails that are coming in.
Yep.
That to me, that's like one of the seesaws is when I feel on top of work email. It's often because I've completely neglected the other category, and then vice versa.
I guess people call it work-life balance, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's what it is.
You get some letter in the mail from the IRS saying you didn't make a payment, and you're like, oh shit.
If only
check my email.
I wish the IRS would actually email us. I always find it amazing that they use I love the postal service, nothing but kudos to the postal service. But sometimes it stresses me out that my most important piece of information comes through a service that routinely, unfortunately, loses letters.
Nothing but kudos to the postal service is not a sentence I expected to hear in this conversation.
We are big enthusiasts when it comes to communication methods, and we respect all our ancestors and all the communication methods to come. All right, let's get into the show. So we'll switch to Avec. Here it is. And we have a list of questions that we've received so far. I'm sure we'll get more during the show. You get to pick anything that strikes you. Tell me which one it is. I'll read it out loud, and then we'll go right into it.
Michael Mignano, I know him. Why don't we start with the Periscope one since it's at the top.
So Michael is indeed a mutual friend, and he's asking us, tell us the story of the Periscope acquisition. What was it like selling your company, especially since it was pre-launch? How did you handle the negotiation?
Well, let's start with the story parts. The story was pretty serendipitous in the sense that we weren't trying to sell the company. We hadn't even launched the product yet. We had kind of barely named the product. We had a test flight with like 25 people in the beta. And as you know, building an early stage consumer product, you're kind of just taking cracks at the experience, trying to figure out what works and what feels right to you and maybe your friends. We literally had like 25 people in the beta. And we got to this point where we shipped a version of the test flight that we felt was pretty cool, but we wanted to kind of unleash it into the massive audience of 20 people. And it just felt very clear that it was working for a few reasons. We had just discovered the hearts. If you remember, Periscope had these floating hearts, which are now ubiquitous on any live platform. And we had just made the live video full vertical screen rather than half screen. And those two kind of UX changes were the unlock that to us felt really magical. And all of a sudden, the night that we released the beta, one of our beta users, Shane Mack, he was broadcasting in the mission because there was some fire in a second story apartment. And so he started a broadcast. At that time, we had a feature that sent a push notification to every Periscope user whenever anyone went live, which is like a completely not scalable.
I love it.
Anyway, so like 25 people joined this broadcast, and it was just everyone in the broadcast was like, holy shit, this is different. Like I felt like I'm there in the mission watching this thing, talking to the broadcaster, asking questions. And, we had a feature in the test flight that let you share and invite other people. And within like 20 minutes, we saw new signups from Dick Costello, Jack Dorsey, Ev Williams. We were just like, what is happening right now? One of our beta users happened to work at Twitter. She was in corp dev. She's now one of our investors at our new company. And she had coincidentally seen this broadcast and invited a bunch of the exec team at Twitter. And so that was how the story began. They then reached out to us and they were like, hey, we'd love to talk to you. And I was like, I know what this is. I'm not looking to sell a company. And they're like, yeah, but we want to like introduce some people. And I said, who? And they were like, Dick and Jack. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to not meet Dick and Jack Dorsey. And so that's kind of how the story started.
That's amazing. I did not know this actually. Well, Mike had so many questions. So the other one is, how did you handle the negotiation? Do you have any tips for founders that have an incredible hit app that's just about to take off and they get, contacted by Twitter or whatever its equivalent is today?
There is an immense luxury in not wanting to or needing to sell the company. And you should use that to your advantage because it's actually really easy. Like the thing that feels most comfortable for you, which is saying politely, like, thanks, but no thanks. Like, we're so honored that you have this much appreciation for what we're building and you believe in it, but like we're excited about what we're doing. That is really comfortable and easy to say. It doesn't feel like negotiating if you mean it, but that kind of thing makes, makes an acquirer want you even more. And so that's really how the negotiation started, is like, we just didn't want to sell the company and they kept making it more and more appealing. And they had to find ways to make it appealing. It's not just about, offering the right amount of money. It's what we cared about was independence. We were like, no, we don't want to just be like a, feature in Twitter. We think Periscope should be its own brand. We think it should be its own app with its own surface area. These things actually matter to us. And we had this implicit assumption that Twitter would never be open to that. And so they sort of were very creative about both addressing the economic stuff, but also being like, you keep your office, keep your, you have your own org, you have your own app, like no one can tell you what to do. And so the combination of those things, I think, made us more interested in it. And then there was the more classical negotiation of the terms and all that stuff. But it really started with us just being true to what we wanted, which is we wanted to see this product exist in the world.
Yep.
And we wanted to execute it in a way that was independent from some other ginormous existing social app, which, by the way, has its own pros and cons. Like we learned the hard way the cons of doing that, because when Facebook or Instagram come after you and leverage the might of their ecosystem to activate the feature, like you learn the hard way that like distribution actually matters. But there's lots of benefits as well. So we navigated a lot of that in those initial conversations, and ultimately, the Twitter team was amazing to work with. They were very good at buying companies, right? Like
actually, they were. That's right.
Fabric, which is still on like billions of devices in the world. At the time, was called Crashalytics. Like Twitter was, I think, batted above its own weight in terms of spotting talent early and buying the companies.
Nice, love this. So the way this show works is that we did give an answer to Mike, but we still need to send him a reply over email, so we get to do that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to press and hold the big blue button.
You're going to reply as me.
Well, I can do that. Do you want me to do that?
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, this is Jonathan responding on behalf of Kayvon. I hope you're satisfied with his answer. Look, I have no insight into what went into his head at the time. I just think it's an awesome story. Hopefully it's going to sign off as me. Yes.
Nice. Okay. See, you're previewing a new unreleased feature, which is I can delegate my email to Jonathan.
That's right.
Which is really something I would pay for.
Respond to your emails, and I will complete the tests that are in there, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not yet released. We have to find a good pricing structure for it.
Sent via Avec via Jonathan. Every Avec email actually is just sent by you, isn't it?
Yes, I actually transcribe every one of them very, very fast. We try to do things that don't scale.
There you go.
That's the spirit. All right, we got a bunch more questions. Do you want to pick one from the list?
Let's just keep going down the list.
Okay.
What's still from Lenny? Hey, what's still? Oh, let's see.
Oh, sorry. Let me read it in full.
Go for it.
You spent most of your career working on consumer products, and now you're building a B2B product. I imagine you had a lot of assumptions and expectations going into this, knowing how different these two worlds are. What still surprised you most about building a B2B product versus a consumer product that other founders would benefit from hearing? By the way, you should say what you're building first, so that folks know.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm building a product called Macroscope, and if you think about what a macroscope is, it's an instrument that helps you understand a complex thing or complex system. And what more complex system is there than a company? And what we're building with Macroscope is a tool that helps you understand what's happening at your company. How's the code changing? How's the product evolving? What are people working on? For any company that builds software, the sort of source of truth for these things is the code, right? Because ultimately you're building a product that is software based. And so we started the company really interested in building this AI system that could help you, the CEO, the head of product, the head of engineering, or anyone at the company understand what's happening. We've since evolved it to do other things that are really important for engineering teams that involve code intelligence, namely code review. So we help engineering teams ship more code faster with fewer bugs. And so there's another question here around like what's with all the optical names, which we'll get to. But anyway, that's what our company does, Macroscope.
And so what has surprised you the most about building in B2B?
Well, fun fact, before I answer this question directly, my first company actually was a B2B company. Before I started Periscope, many years before, while I was still at Stanford, we started a company called Terribly Clever that built mobile applications for universities. And it actually started with even more humble beginnings, which is we just built an app for Stanford. It was called iStanford. And this was one of the first education apps on the App Store, right after Apple released the App Store. And in the course of building an app for Stanford that let students register for classes and search the campus map and see where the buses were in real time and all the things you needed to do to survive as a student on campus, we basically packaged into a beautiful native app. And while we built that, we were like, this is not just a Stanford thing. We should build this into a SaaS platform that we could sell to every university in the world, because what university wouldn't want an app for their students? And so that became our company. And we ended up getting acquired by a big ed tech company called Blackboard, which I worked at for 5 years. The first couple of years, I was literally just like not going to classes, driving to San Francisco, flying to DC where the company was based. Anyway, so that was my first job, really, was running that company, and then, working as an executive at this big ed tech company. And I learned the joys and the pains of B2B well before I learned the joys and the pains of consumer. And funny enough, after that experience, I was like, B2B SaaS, never again. Selling software to universities, like maybe next to government, like slowest possible sales cycle. And so after that, Periscope and consumer was very refreshing. I will always love consumer. So now fast forward, we're jumping around, but fast forward another 9 years, starting Macroscope. I actually really appreciate the differences between B2B and consumer. And I like to think that what's fun and what we are good at is sort of understanding the best of both worlds. I actually think there's tremendous alpha bringing consumer instincts to B2B tools. Like most B2B tools are atrocious. Like they're just so poorly designed. They're so focused on being functional that they lack soul, they lack joy. And they're really like just not built with love for end users in mind, because you're often selling to a person that's different than the end user. That's like one of the things I hate about most B2B products. And so I actually think like we try and bring as much consumer instinct to our work and to our product as we can, and think of it like building consumer products. Because at the end of the day, like the reason why I am doing what I'm doing and why I like building companies in the first place is it's sort of pretty selfish in its nature. Like I just want to build something that I can use and hope that if I and the people I'm working with get value out of it, that other people will as well. And that is what makes consumer products tick. And so long-winded answer, but I think that's kind of like how we approach it. In terms of what surprised me, like I would say there's not a ton that's surprising, but one of the things I've been reminded about that is painful is, unlike consumer products, the latency between having a product that can be used and getting it in the hands of your ultimate customer is oftentimes painfully long. Like we talk to customers all the time who we're excited by the conversation. They're really excited to use the product, and they're like, cool, let's do this. 3.5 months goes by, and you're like, you have security review, vendor review, legal review, like all of this stuff is a reality in B2B land. In consumer land, it's like, oh, Avec looks awesome. Let me download it. Boom. Like I can decide whether it's adding value in my life or not. There's no middleman. That's very not true in B2B land.
I worked in B2B in another life and cannot agree more. Very different. Sweet. Should we give Lenny a proper response? I'll hold on to the button. Just say, you can even troll him, honestly, if you want to. Go ahead.
Lenny, you should know that my first company was a B2B company because I was on your damn podcast, man. Dig it up. Look at the transcripts.
I love it. That's great. Lenny, shame on you, but we love you.
We love you.
Thanks so much, Lenny. All right, let's carry on. Let's see. We got a bunch more here. Do you want to go to the optical instrument one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Whoa. Okay, so my eye stopped somewhere else.
Sam Sola.
Sam is asking, I've been following along what you're building at Macroscope. I'm not a programmer, but I try to learn more about AI, and I'm wondering, wait, hold on.
Oh, yeah, that's not what you clicked on.
Wait.
Interesting.
What the heck? I do not
Did we just discover a bug?
Yeah, I think we found a bug. Okay, do you want to just tell us what's about?
Which one am I answering?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, where did it go?
Oh, it's here.
Oh,
it's
it's
at the
Darren.
top.
It's Darren.
Okay. Right back. Periscope, Macroscope. What's the deal? Are you secretly affiliated with the Zeiss family and boosting their sales with your various ventures?
I have mad respect for the Zeiss family. I didn't realize it was a family-run business, but that totally tracks. So yes, very astute observation that I've had 2 companies now that end in scope. The irony is not lost on me. I will say that the primary motivation was not to keep scope in the name for the sake of keeping scope in the name. I do feel like both product names just felt right. Right? With Periscope, we really felt like we were building a Periscope into the world. And it just felt like such an obvious name for that product. With Macroscope, for the reasons I shared, it really did and still does today feel like such an apt name for helping solve this problem that every person, especially someone who's worked at a big company, feels like. I worked at Twitter before this, and Twitter at the time was a 1,200 person engineering team. Like, understanding what is happening at a 1,200 person engineering team is tremendously difficult. It's like my least favorite part of my job was just understanding what the fuck people were working on. And so Macroscope felt like such a lovely ode to what we're trying to do, and sort of like giving you an instrument to understand something as complex as a company. So that was the primary motivation. The fact that it also had scope in it was like that's kind of funny. Like, let's roll with that.
Fun. That's great.
But no, we're not secretly affiliated with the Zeiss family. I wish I had some commission I was getting for every Zeiss lens that was sold.
You deserve some credit there. Okay, awesome. What should we say to Darren?
Man, I wish we were just recording this whole thing, and we should just do that next time.
I can do that next time.
Is there a recording limit to these responses?
I think we're just going to find out.
We're going to find out, yeah.
Should we just troll Darren for a minute?
Sure.
Say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't believe someone actually figured this out, but I am actually I have an endorsement deal with Zeiss, and I get a fair amount of commission for every lens that's sold. And they unfortunately get a fair amount of commission for every Macroscope subscription that we sell. So you spotted me, but I am open to other offers from other lens manufacturers. So please shoot me a note, Kayvon@macroscope.com, and we can talk shop.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing.
I hope he gets the actual answer to this question.
But that's it. We got the email correct. Everything's good. We're just gonna send it. Okay.
Am I hearing sprinklers, or is that the ice melting?
I think it's literally the ice melting. Yes, we have a mini torrent of ice melting behind us.
The viewers probably cannot hear this because of the microphones, but there is a very distinct sound of melting ice, and it's very interesting.
It's very poetic.
Yeah.
The whole premise of this event was people send their cold email, and we create this warmer space, where we actually heat things up, we reply to the email. So it's only fair that the ice melts.
It's great.
We were assured by Claude that the ice would not melt entirely before the end of the stream. And we're about to find out if Fable is actually good enough to figure that out on our behalf.
It's like a natural shot clock for the interview.
That's right. Yes. We'll see. Okay. We got more questions coming in. And I'm going to do the thing where I just press the blue button and just ramble, and we'll see what comes out.
Great.
Which one do you want to go with?
Let's do the X feature one.
Okay, so Jimmy is asking, you were head of product at Twitter, and you're still very active on X. Very good poster, by the way. What feature shipped by the new X team do you wish you shipped?
I have a very specific answer to this question, which is like my mind immediately went to it when I saw this, which is revenue sharing for ad impressions with creators. This is, and the reason this one hits me so hard is because we talked about this a lot, but because of the organizational structure, you had a consumer team, which I was running, and then you had an ads team, which was different, and very different incentives, right? Like, we were, our responsibility was to make sure people loved using the product and used it more and tweeted more and spent more time using it. And the ads team's job was to drive more revenue.
Yep.
And one of the things we had talked about, in the last year and a half of my time there was, how do we give creators a cut of all the ad revenue? Because we had many other sort of end user monetization features that I think were and still are awesome, right? Like we called them super follows at the time, but I can't remember what they call them now. But you can subscribe to people, and we had tipping, and we were experimenting with virtual currency and all these other features that we actually built at Periscope originally. But the big pie is the ad money,
of course,
right? Like that is the Twitter's business was primarily ads driven, and so this is just one of those features that, because we were a public company, because of our org structure, because of the incentive things, was so political and controversial, for lack of a better word, and we weren't able to ship it, unfortunately. And it's exactly the sort of thing that when you take a company private and you have a singular owner who can afford to just be more focused on, we're just going to do the right thing. It in theory gives you the latitude to make those kinds of decisions, and I'm really glad. I was really stoked when I saw that they launched that feature.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's my answer.
Sweet, great answer.
Let's see how the transcribing does.
Let's see. Wow.
Oh, wow.
I think this is going to work. I think it's still generating though, because this is a long answer.
It was cool seeing it stream in too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at this. It's a bit of a block of text. I think we should hit the polish button and try to break it up a bit. Let's see what that does. This feature, we'll turn things that are like maybe spoken word a little bit more into what you would write.
See, this ended up being a great demo. We did the whole flow, right? We did the whole transcribe, and then we polished.
It's great.
I love it.
Thanks for the free demo. I appreciate it. Okay, should we send it? Move on to the next one?
Send it.
Sweet. Let's see, what else do we have here? Your pick.
All right, let's do the coding benchmarks one. Spicy here.
Yes. So
let's see.
Lolo.
Let's see Lolo's email here. You got to reveal yourself, Lolo. Lolo22 feels like someone made a fake email.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like that. I will say.
Are we not showing people's emails?
No, we're not showing people's email. Who knows? Like maybe like the actual person here is, I don't know, sarah.beykpour@gmail.com. I'm making up an email address, which is of course your spouse, So
Sarah would have just leaned into being more. This is my wife, by the way, that Jonathan is milking. Sarah would have leaned in to be full spicy or full troll. This kind of reads like someone started out trying to be spicy, and then they kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yes. Well, they keep the pseudonymity and they get an answer.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I want to speak sort of generically on behalf of all benchmarks, because I think many benchmarks are total bullshit. But I think some benchmarks are totally not bullshit. And certainly, depending on the line of work you're in or what your product does, having email evals and benchmarks, like you can't not have them. Like it is so much easier to hill climb on a problem if you have like a clear benchmark and clear evals that you're measuring your progress against. I think maybe the way I would phrase it is people weaponize benchmarks all the time in a way that just ends up becoming unhelpful. And so there's nuances to this and there's levels to this. But for our code review product, for example, like benchmarking is incredibly important. Put aside the marketing of it and how you talk about it externally, just like internally, we have to understand whether the dozens of iterations of pipelines that we're experimenting with on a daily basis are getting better or worse towards some problem that is hopefully a proxy for a customer problem. And so it's totally not bullshit. Like we look at benchmarks multiple times per day. I was looking at a benchmark on the way here while I was driving in my car. But I think that the way they end up getting used as part of marketing can oftentimes be either misleading or unhelpful or just, they just get weaponized. Yeah. So that would be my hopefully well-balanced answer to this question.
Okay.
I hope you appreciated that, Lolo22.
So wait, why is it saying Holly? Oh my God, we're hitting all the weird I think maybe we might be leaking their actual email address. How about we make it snarky though?
Polish it to be snarky?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Make it a little snarky. I think that's going to be more in tone. I mean, this is great. Are you okay with me sending this?
I'm reading it. Yeah, I mean, yes. Hey, I mean, this was sent by you, so I'm gonna just if someone gives me shit for an email, I'm just gonna blame you.
That's right. You get to do that all day, actually. So when you walk out of here, you should go ahead and send completely unhinged email and be like, oh no, I'm just trying this new Avec feature where the founder is somehow responding to all my email.
Yeah.
Not my fault. Sorry about that.
By the way, for the next response, I want to see what that pen icon does. I haven't used that feature myself. We'll talk about it after.
Well, let's go there. Do you want to pick one from the list here?
Let's see. What are your thoughts on Twitter's? Let's read the full Clement one. Clement?
Yeah,
hopefully I pronounced it right.
I think it's a French name. Clement. Hi, Kayvon. Curious on your thoughts of the current Twitter or X, its direction, rebranding, design, and obviously its CEO.
So much to talk about here. First of all, it will always be Twitter for me. It's hard. I don't instinctively think of calling it X. I think the short summary would be, I think there's some things about the product, both the feature set and the direction that I love, and there's some things that just aren't for me. I think a lot of the features that I was most excited about and most proud of, I love that they've sort of poured gasoline on. Like sort of the two features that I was most proud of that we worked on at my time were Spaces, which is being able to have audio conversations on Twitter, and what's now called Community Notes. At the time we called it Birdwatch. So they rebranded it. But I thought that, Birdwatch and Community Notes there was so much, even in the early days when everyone else thought it was a terrible idea, and it was just literally a 3-person team. It was just such a powerful idea and such a counter consensus idea. And so I love that has become such a central part of the product. And of course, now they're experimenting with whether it is community driven or how much AI can assist in driving those nodes. Like just as a foundation, it's incredibly powerful. So there's a lot of things I love about the product. We already talked about the ads thing. Helping people make money on the platform is so essential for any consumer product, any social network. And so I think they've navigated that stuff elegantly. I would say my relationship with the algorithm is very tenuous. It made me sad at first that the product just turned more into TikTok. Like what I loved about Twitter was that it was a way for me to learn. I could learn from people. I could learn about events that were happening in the world. And I think Twitter was always really good at that. And I think there was a phase of the algorithm where it just turned into TikTok and Instagram. It's like the feeling I have when I use Instagram is, I just burned 45 minutes doom scrolling and I feel like shit afterwards. I started feeling that way using Twitter. I think that the team at X has clearly put a lot of effort into rebalancing things, which is great. It's starting to feel better. But I think that's kind of what I mean by my relationship with the feed was much more tenuous than it was. By the way, these are hard problems, so I don't think there's any malintent here, but that's sort of my from my personal use case. I didn't love that. I didn't love that. Now it's like you got to play this game to show up on the feed. You've earned all these followers and this audience of people who supposedly care about you and they're following you, and now you're just playing a different game. And so I think in the last couple of weeks they've actually made a lot of strides in changing that, which is great. And my thoughts on its CEO, I think Elon is one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs of all time. Period. He's incredible. And I have so much admiration for. I have purchased every Elon product that can be purchased other than
you have a rocket?
Other than a rocket. I can't buy one of those. I can't buy
you need to start your own country first.
A boring device either. Yes. But no, big fan, and I think the opportunity of this company. I guess it's not private anymore, which is kind of funny to say. But I was a longer conversation around public versus private. But Twitter was always, as a company, so perilous as a public company, and so the opportunity of making the most of this product and this ecosystem is enormous, because I think it's one of the most special products ever invented, and so I'm stoked that it has a steward that clearly sees that and cares about that and is willing to invest in it.
Awesome answer.
We forgot to record.
No, I did that on purpose. I wanted to show you. We're not going to get there. Hold on. Let's just give a very short one sentence to Clément, and then I'll show you that pen icon you were curious about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, short answer. Current direction, some things I love, some things I don't like. Rebranding, not a fan, prefer Twitter. Its CEO, goated.
Sweet answer. So, as you know, like in Avec, you can press polish, it will try to do its best. But then this little like pen icon right now, like lets you sort of like open those personalization preferences. And, that lets you like shape effectively the voice that you use in your emails. We're actually slightly rebuilding that. We're going to give you more controls where you'll be able to like tune things towards, make it a bit more formal, make it a little bit more casual and whatnot. So that's coming soon.
I think it'd be really cool if it, based on each of the polish feedback I give, if it learned over time, like here's Kayvon's always correcting it in this way, that would be really cool.
Yeah, so we built all of that and then we shipped it. And it didn't work as well as I wanted it to work, or we wanted it to build, so we unshipped it. Because our rule is, if it's not good enough, it's not going out.
Love it.
So, we're going to try to keep doing it, and eventually we'll get it right, and we'll ship it.
Great.
I promise you. Well, I think we're at time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
This was awesome. I feel like we've had this remote relationship for so long now, right? Like we were so early at using Microscope at Avec, and you've been so kind in testing Avec and giving us so much feedback. So I'm so grateful for that. So great to be in person with you.
Likewise. I'm just glad we finished this interview before the ice melted.